and we are live now. So, thank you guys for watching another episode of the Spurs Takeover. I'm your host, Joe Garcia, and we're going to be joined by our special guest tonight. We're going to be joined by our co host. We're going to be joined by Steven Anderson of Project Spurs and our good friend Jonas Clark, who is also with Project Spurs as well. So, gentlemen, Spurs are going 0 for 3 on this rodeo road trip as they drop one to the Portland Trail Blazers by a final score of 125 to 117. The Spurs played a great first half again. They had the 1 point lead going into, at the end of the half. Then they go into the third quarter and play a Spurs typical third quarter. Fourth quarter, they can't hit anything. They just go cold for some reason, and always they get away from what is working for them. So to go ahead and put it lightly, it was like watching the Titanic sink. It's going down slowly, and that's what's happening with the rest of this Spurs season. It's like watching the Titanic sink. It's doomed, and it's sinking, but it's just gonna go down slowly. And that's what's happening with this season, for lack of a better term, because this is a family show. But it's painful to watch this team play, because that the potential is there for them to be better. We have yet to see it, and I don't think we're ever going to see it. We're just going to wind up seeing the same product night in and night out, where they play good enough at times to be competitive, but not good enough to get the W. So with that said, let's go ahead and start with your analysis for tonight's game, Steven.
Yeah, guys. So, it is frustrating to watch this team night in and night out. I was talking to a couple of friends before the game, actually, and they said the same thing. The Spurs go in that fourth quarter. It's like they lose themselves and they lose the lead. And we saw Portland go off. I believe they had 18 threes on the whole night, and Damian Lillard went off, and he had some big threes in that fourth quarter. Portland had a lot of threes in that fourth quarter. And the thing is, when you're leaving guys open, when you're letting Dame just get to the rim with ease, I lost how many times I tweeted, insert your name of the Portland player here getting to the rim with ease. It was just that bad to watch this Spurs defense just collapse the way it has been. Our friend and colleague Paul Garcia, ProjectSpurs.com, put up a poll on his Twitter account. What do you think the Spurs are going to do this week? And he listed the weekly games that the Spurs had. I picked 0-4. I don't see them winning in Sacramento either. Sacramento's very athletic. Sacramento's very young. They're a fun team to watch. They're especially at home. They're a lot better at home than on the road for some reason. And they seem to have the Spurs number. Tonight, DeMar DeRozan didn't have the best start to the first half, but he came out and he had a good night. LaMarcus Aldridge had a nice night. Trey Lyles, surprised all of us. We don't know he had that in his game at all. But, the guy played very, very, very well. He's one of my standout players on the night, actually. Spoiler alert for you guys who are going to read the article later. It is Trey Lyles, who's one of my standout players. And, so don't be surprised when you read it. But, that's the thing, guys, is that the Spurs have had this stigma, this issue all season. And you're right, Joe. I don't see the Spurs really rebounding from this. I'm not going to sit here and say, they're going to lose every game at the road trip, which is very possible. But I just think right now it doesn't look like we're going to see that playoff caliber team that we saw beat the Clippers earlier in the season, beat Houston. They're capable of doing it, but they just can't get it together.
Yeah, let me read some comments, man, because they're comical from some of our fans tonight. Rudy Campos from Sweep the League. What's up, Rudy? He puts, all I can think of is iceberg straight ahead when it comes to this season. That's exactly what I was saying. They remind me of watching the Titanic sink. And one of our viewers from Periscope, Paratropina, puts, Forbes is a disease. I love it, man. Joanne Hernandez on Facebook. She puts, done and done. Worst team since the early 90s. Forbes is a bum. And then we have our other viewer from Periscope, Lally C34. She says, Spurs is done. Kings can beat Spurs even on a triple back-to-back. She's not lying. Joanne Hernandez, 0-8. Paratropina says, it's not an stigma. The problem are the lineups. The problem have been the lineups. That's not a lie. And Doris says Spurs only play 3 quarters. Too many wide open threes. The whole team focuses on the player with the ball. That causes wide open players to make threes. The problem with the Spurs too is their inability to guard or defend the wing. You know,
Hmm.
with their inability to defend the wing effectively, they don't really limit the opposing team's made threes. That comes back to bite them in the butt because we look at the stat sheets tonight, and I think something like the Blazers made something like 15 or 18 threes. I'm going to pull up the stats right now so I can see the exact number. Here we go. They made a total of 18 3 pointers tonight. They were 18 of 37 from beyond the arc, and they shot 48.6% from the three. The Spurs weren't very effective on guarding the wing. And not only that, but points in the paint, you got to give the edge to the Blazers. They outscored us in the paint 48-44. You know, the assist that was in favor of the Blazers 28-25. And I'm looking here and I'm seeing, okay, how many times did we go to the free throw line compared to how many times the Blazers went? We went to the free throw line 28 times and we knocked down 25 of our free throws. The Blazers went 12 times, knocked down 9 of their free throws. So we were good at not fouling them. However, we were horrible on the defensive end. We couldn't stop them. You know, and that's the issue with this team is that sometimes they can play decent defense. Other times, like we saw tonight in the third and fourth quarter, they crap the bed, for a better term. I mean, there's no rhyme or reason for these collapses. It's just all uh, from a mental aspect. You have to be ready not only to go out there and play a physical game, but mentally you have to prepare your mind to get you in the right mindset to come out and play at a high level every single quarter. And we have yet to see that from this team, and we're probably, like what we're saying, we're probably never going to see that. So before I go ahead and pitch to Jonas, I'm going to read some more comments. Carolina Teague's watching. What's up, Carolina? She says, "Sup, y'all?" Ty Yeager. Evening, fellas. What's up, Ty? Ty's a guy that we always say that we're going to war with because we're doing the clip wars. I release clips and Ty release clips, and Ty does a good job, man. So shout out to you, Ty.
Hmm.
Carolina says he really dropped the ball this season. Yeah, that he did. So Jonas, observations from tonight's game, man. Go ahead and let us have it. And I know there's not going to be a glimmer of hope here, so don't sugarcoat things. Just let us have it.
Well, I'm never one to get too down on the team, Joe. I know you guys are saying this is a hard team to watch. I I don't have much of a problem turning on the game, but leaving it on it has gotten harder and harder because after you get past halftime, you're digging in the couch cushion to find that fourth quarter, whether it's in the third or it's an actual fourth quarter. We're coming up short when it comes time to pay for the bus. And you can't take a ride to the playoffs if you don't got change, right? Take a Via
True
anywhere. They
enough.
don't let you if you don't got the exact change. The biggest issue that I have with this evening's game is one Gary Trent Jr.
Yeah.
6 of 7 from 3 point. I mean, you compared the team numbers from 3 point range, Joe, but 6 of 7, and a lot of that down the stretch in the fourth quarter. You got you got to put two guys on him. Put Lonnie out there and just designate him. Um, Derek White did what he could down the stretch. At one point he had 8 straight Spurs points. He was getting to the line. He was being aggressive on both ends of the court. You can't really ask much more from him from that. I do need to say, Joe, I need to plea to Coach Popovich again. This is 3 games in a row now.
I
My
already know what you're gonna
guy,
say. I know.
my guy, my guy, Jakob Pertl, he had 11 minutes. 11 minutes. You look at the rebounds, we got out rebounded by 11. Hassan Whiteside alone had 23 rebounds. You got to get some more size in there. Siakam needs a bit more run. I understand tonight was Trey Lyles' night, and then LaMarcus goes up well against Portland. He had a good night too, but neither of those guys are as aggressive as you need in the paint and on the glass as Jakob Pertl.
Yeah, well, Carolina Teague's in here too. And yeah, Ty Yeager, Ty says, it's such a mixed bag with this team. He says they have runs that can be hella fun, then runs that just suck. And he's not lying. That's exactly what we kind of touched on. Frank Ramirez says 0-8 for this rodeo road trip. Spurs are weak. Sad to say. Patrick Hart says, I'm really disappointed tonight. Patrick, you're not the only one who's disappointed. We're all disappointed. Carolina says the offensive transition was really bad. And it was bad. You know, really what the Spurs are doing from time to time when they get themselves in trouble, when they have trouble knocking down shots, is that they just revert back to playing a bunch of iso ball. They don't have good tandems. And what I mean by that is you look at other teams that have good offensive units out there on the court at any given time. And what they do is that they run a tandem. They run two players side by side crossing over through the paint. And what happens when you do that is if you have a player from the opposing team guarding you and you're running that tandem, that allows the other player that's right next to his own player to kind of break free. And he can get an open shot. The Spurs don't really run good tandems out there in the paint. It's a lot of isolation ball. They try to spread the opposing team's defense a little bit. So the Spurs are going to say, okay, well, let's go ahead and try knocking down a corner three, or let's try knocking down a wide open three-pointer, or let's go ahead like DeJounte did tonight. I'm going to be aggressive. I'm going to go to the rim. I'm going to try to suck the defense in, and let me see if I can find someone open for maybe a corner three as he did Trey Lyles. But that doesn't always work. You know, if your fundamentals aren't really up to par, it kind of shows as the game wanes on. And I think that's what's happening with this third and fourth quarters, where the Spurs kind of go cold, and then they just get away from what's working from a defensive perspective, and it kind of gets them out of sorts. It gets them out of rhythm, and then they have a hard time coming back into the game. Sean Elliott touched on, what does this team need to do as far as have the mentality to win games in the clutch? And I put that clip out there, and he was just saying, basically, the answer is just win. You know, he was kind of referring to doing all the little things. You know, don't make mistakes. Don't have mental lapses. You're your own worst enemy at times. And we've seen all these things unfold with this team as the season has gone on. It's a shame to watch this catastrophe night in and night out. I'm kind of tired of it. I'm glad that there's only 31 games left on this season now. The Spurs have lost another one, which means now that they have to go 20, I think I was 21-11. So now they have to go 21-10 the rest of the way in order to get to the magical 43 wins. I mean, 10 losses is all they can afford for the rest of the season, and we still have several games left on this rodeo road trip. We got 5 games left. The math's not in their favor, man. I just don't see it happening as far as this team making the playoffs. But let's go ahead and pitch to you, Steven. Tonight, who was the unsung hero in your eyes for this team?
Trey Lyles.
Yeah, without a doubt.
The guy had a good game. I'm not gonna say and fault him. He's had his faults. He's had a ton of faults, but I mean, the guy had a very nice night. If he didn't have those points that he had tonight, and you just relied on DeMar and LaMarcus as your main two, like the Spurs have done for a very long time, this would have been a lopsided blowout 20-30 point game for Portland, an easy win. So Trey Lyles really saved the day for the Spurs. I can give you my least valuable player for the night was probably Bryn Forbes, who is just mentioning his name creeps me out.
You're gonna poo-poo on his parade. Let's see what his stats were for tonight, just by chance. He had 22 points and he had 11. He had 22 minutes and 11 points tonight.
Right. Okay. Yeah. But defensively, you let Damian Lillard just walk by you. You let Trent Jr. just go by you. You leave him open for threes. I mean, he can score 50 points for all I care. And if you're not doing it defensively, what's the point of having you out there? I mean, that's the whole point of the Spurs team is defense. And Obviously a lack thereof for the majority of the past 2 years. But I mean, this Spurs team really lacks a lot, from defense to offense to mental fortitude. There's a bunch of things the Spurs team lacks. But to answer your main question, Joe, my standout player is Trey Lyles. The guy had a great night.
That he did. He had an outstanding night. And Trey Lyles, he scored a total of, well, he had a season high 23 points. He was 4 for 6 from beyond the arc. He had 9 of 11 from field goal range. Overall, great game. He had 10 rebounds. He had 2 steals. So he was getting it done. He was on fire. He was in the zone for a time there, and I just think they kind of got away from him from a little bit. And things just didn't pan out after that for the Spurs. They need a third, consistent scorer. I don't know who that is going to be. We got to look forward to next season, and hopefully they can address some of the issues that they have as far as getting a much needed wing defender. I think that is where we're missing. I hate to say his name, Davis Bertans. Davis Bertans wasn't that bad of a defender. Now that he's gone, does this team even looks even worse this season, as far as guarding the wing? I mean, Davis is balling out there with the Sixers, man, but I miss him. We have Damari Carroll, and Damari Carroll has yet to really play any significant minutes whatsoever. It was a shame that the Spurs weren't able to trade him, by the trade deadline. I guess numbers didn't work, or teams just weren't interested. So it's one of those things, dude. But let's see what other people are saying right now. Carolina says, replying to Joanne Hernandez, okay. She was okay. They were disappointed in the offensive performance. Rudy says, leave Bryn alone. It's not his fault. Well, you were saying how bad he was from a defensive perspective. Carolina loves her some. Carolina Teague loves her some Bryn Forbes. I didn't give him the nickname Barbecue for any other reason that he gets cooked under the rim.
Let me just say a defensive Bryn Forbes. He's a streaky offensive player. When he's on. But I mean, I know Carolina. She's a good friend. I'm gonna say this lovingly and as a joke. Just because he's cute doesn't make him a good basketball player. I'm just gonna say that. I love Carolina. She's awesome, and I know she'll take that as a joke. Is how I'm taking it. But seriously, Bryn Forbes is streaky. And Joe, you've said this. You nicknamed him Barbecue for a reason. The guy is streaky, and when he's not on his game, it's just hard to watch. And I think you, Jonas, or Ben, one of y'all said recently in a recent show, if he's out there not hitting threes, what's he out there for? So I mean, it's just a matter of that. So yeah, there we go.
Yeah, if he's not producing, you need to yank him. Let's see what Jakob Portal. That's Jonas's spirit animal right here. Jakob Portal had 12 minutes. He only produced 3 points on the night, but he did have 4 rebounds. He had 2 assists. Unfortunately, we didn't get the block of Portal. He didn't have any blocks in tonight's game. Lonnie Walker, he played 13 minutes. He had 2 points. Didn't get to see a lot of playing time. Marco Beninelli, everyone's favorite player, he played a total of 3 minutes, and he didn't produce a damn thing. Shocking, I know. It's a shame we couldn't get rid of him. I would have packaged him. I would have packaged Bryn, Damari Carroll. Let's get him off of this team. The Spurs need some help, man, and they're just not getting it. Oh, we're getting a call here. Hey, thank you for calling the Spurs Takeover. This is Joe. Who am I talking to?
It's Ty. It's the one and only Ty Yeager. Who else?
Hey, Ty. What's up? Can you guys hear him? Okay, they can hear you, Ty.
Hello. Awesome. Yeah, there's a lot with this team that can be more. There's a lot more to be desired. I don't know how you do so well against this team in the beginning of the game, go 35-27 in the first. You do let some points, but you start trading punches with them. You get outscored in the second, but you outscore them in the third. And then the Spurs let up nearly 40 points in the fourth alone, outscored 39-25. And that's where the Spurs is struggling. They can't close out. They struggle they will trade punches, all this, and then they'll just give up a big run in the third quarter or the fourth quarter, and it just cost them games. It's the defense that is really suffering. I was really hoping in this trade deadline that they would have gone out and maybe get someone that could have helped them on defense, but they stay put, and I don't blame them. Just with there's more opportunities and more options when it comes to trades in the offseason, but still, anyone could have been an upgrade on defense when it came to this team this season.
Yeah, I agree with you, Ty. I mean, it's just tough because we as fans want them to make a trade, but ultimately, at the end of the day, the numbers have to work. And if the Spurs want to get rid of some of their aging vets, the numbers have to work in favor of the team because nobody wants to go way over the salary cap. And when we're trying to, let's say, dump our rotten garbage on somebody else, it's a hard sell unless we package in some of our youth, and we don't want to give that up, So there you have that. Jonas, did you want to give your rebuttal to Ty?
Sorry, I was responding to somebody. Can you just recap that for me? I really apologize.
Never mind. Jonas had a brain fart. Steven, would you like to give your rebuttal to Ty?
I would. I mean, wow. Okay, so yeah, basically, I agree with what you're saying, Ty, because the Spurs. I mean, and you know this as well as I do. You and I have talked about this privately. The Spurs don't make trades at the trade deadline unless it's in a very rare sense. So when we heard all this talk about Damari Carroll being shopped or possibly Jakob or in Marco Bellinelli, I had a feeling that wasn't going to happen. So, I mean, I would have liked to see the Spurs come in and ends of the floor. Like an
on my end,
there we go.
But
all right, go ahead,
I can't
Steven.
hear the
Yeah, so whenever you bring in like an Austin Day or a player like that, Pop doesn't play him. Pop rarely plays the guy you bring in for a trade unless it's a in case we need you type of thing. And I mean, I get it. He has to learn the system and all that other, mumbo jumbo. But at the same time, you're letting a guy you got in a trade waste on the bench. I mean, I don't understand that. So to answer the question, I would like to see it happen. Sure. But in reality, would that person have played if they're not really a high caliber player? Probably not.
Yeah. All right, Ty. Well, we appreciate the call, man. I don't know if you got to go or you can stay with us.
No, it's just I just can't hear. I can't hear the R2 on my end, but overall, it sucks for the Spurs. Can't get a win on this Rodeo road trip. They're 0-3, but I still enjoy hearing the Spurs family. Also, I just got to dig a shout out, if you don't mind, about Koala Mills. It's a project that Mac and I are working on for getting money for Australian bushfire relief. You can find that on my Twitter at Ty Yeager Radio if you guys want it. But you keep up the good work, Joe. I am looking forward to the next Clip Wars against you. But I'll see you guys next time.
All right, man. Appreciate the call, Ty. Thanks, man.
Tell you one thing. Ty has a very good voice for radio.
He does. Oh, yeah. He's actually an intern right now. He's running the radio station at the college that he's going to right now. Nice, some of the other interns there. So yeah, man, Ty can turn on this real cool radio voice when he wants to be silly, dude. It's hilarious, man. Yeah, no, I fixed the technical difficulties. And she's saying, Carolina says, he sounds like he's in space. Yeah, that I think has more to do with my with some of these filters that I'm running here as far as the audio goes. So I need to go ahead and tweak those a little bit more, because I had fixed the audio system to run a different headset, but now I switched over to